Doamnelor, domnilor, bun găsit! Invitatul nostru de astăzi este Excelența Sa Klemm, Ambasadorul Statelor Unite ale Americii în România. Welcome, Excellency!
Thank you.
Profităm de prezența domnului ambasador în Baia Mare pentru a-i solicita câteva opinii privind situația din țara noastră. The United States of America is a loyal and trusted partner for Romania in our joint effort to meet NATO objectives in the context of the objectives related to ensuring the security of the eastern border of the alliance. What is the US opinion about Romania's defense strategy, the implementation stage of procurement, and the competence of the Romanian military, and to what degree does Washington intend to support the procurement and endowment of our air forces with a new squadron of F-16s?
Well, you're exactly right. Not only does the United States and Romania, not only do we share a strong friendship, but we are strategic partners, and we're also common allies in NATO. The United States very much welcomes Romania's decision both in 2016 and in 2017 to budget 2% of its gross national project to defense expenditures. Romania has a challenge in now spending that money on necessary modernization of its military forces, Army, Air Force, and Navy, as well as special forces. The United States is very eager to cooperate with the Ministry of Defense as it develops a strategy on how to modernize its military forces, and American companies are very eager to participate in that work as well. I just want to emphasize that as strategic partners, as common allies, the United States views Romania as a critical partner. We train constantly, exercises and training. In 2016, there were 180 separate such engagement, and when you think about it, that means the U.S. and Romanian forces, either bilaterally or as NATO allies, exercised or trained together once every other day last year. The United States is, as a NATO ally of Romania, is very committed to improving the deterrence that exists in the Black Sea area, and we very much are grateful for Romania's work, not only in terms of its contribution to security in the Black Sea area, but also to Romania's commitment and investment in security far from Romania in places like Afghanistan and Iraq.
The EU has clearly pronounced itself in favor of reciprocity in EU visa policies. Why doesn't the US accept free access also for the 5 EU member states that still need a visa? And was the announcement concerning the introduction of visas for American citizens visiting EU member states being taken into account?
Oh, very much so. There's been consultations between Washington and Brussels, between the United States and the European Commission on this issue for many years. We hope we can resolve it in a way that doesn't erect new barriers to travel between the United States and the European Union. In the case of the visa waiver program, I'd just like to emphasize that this is a matter of law in the United States, not policy, not regulation. And so in order to change the qualifications for Romania's entry into the visa waiver program, it requires a change of law, immigration law. And immigration, as in Europe, as in Romania, it's a very sensitive topic in the United States. But we do have a new administration, we do have a new Congress, and so I believe there is at least a possibility that there might be comprehensive immigration reform in the United States, and that might be an opportunity to see whether the program might be might be changed to make it possible for Romania to be a partner as well.
The United States is carefully watching the Romanian political scene and events, and has been a firm supporter of the fight against corruption. What is the U.S. position on the Romanian Senate political statement concerning the role and place of the president in the state, and especially on the position of Deputy Chamber President Liviu Dragnea and Senate President Călin Popescu-Tăriceanu, who call for the resignation of DNA Chief Prosecutor?
The United States both welcomes and congratulates Romania for its increasingly successful fight against corruption. In the past 10 years, Romania has become an example for the rest of the region in terms of its success in fighting corruption. You mentioned the chief prosecutor and the national director for anti-corruption. Last week she was in Bulgaria to do consultations with the government there on their requests in order to learn from Romania in terms of what has been achieved here in the fight against corruption. And other countries as well have come to Romania to learn how they can improve their efforts to fight corruption. So the United States not only supports, encourages the continuation of the prosecutorial fight against corruption. I think there's plenty also to be done in terms of improving prevention and education in civics and ethics, for example, to prevent the occurrence of corruption. Broadly speaking, the United States hopes that if any changes are to be made in the legal infrastructure in Romania, that the changes strengthen Romania's ability to fight corruption and does not weaken it.
The United States has substantially changed its position after the recent presidential election, adopting tough anti-immigration policies. To what degree will President Trump's position influence also the strategy of the European Union on the refugee and migrant situation?
Well, that's in the end really a question for the European Union and its members to resolve. The actions taken by the Trump administration in the past couple months, as explained by the administration, has been to try to improve the security of the United States, to ensure that those who are visiting the United States for whatever purpose are adequately vetted to ensure that they do not pose a threat in terms of terrorism. And unfortunately, yesterday in London, we saw again the threat that our open democracies face from terrorists. And the United States is eager to work with its NATO allies, with the European Union, to combat terrorism. And I'd just like to take just a moment to express our condolences and sympathies for the victims and their families in what happened yesterday in London.
The latest controversies between Turkey on the one hand and the European Union on the other have generated a state of tension and insecurity on the continent, Romania too being a potential target of the threats of the Turkish president. Do the United States intend to act as a mediator between the two sides, and to what degree will the current context affect the stability of NATO in southeastern Europe?
So Turkey is a member of NATO. So are some of the other countries in which they've been in dispute recently, the Netherlands and Germany. The United States, as a common ally, hopes that these countries bilaterally can work out their differences. Turkey's contribution to NATO, as you said, to the security and stability of the Black Sea region is critical. The United States, and I believe Romania, wishes to work closely with Turkey as allies to ensure their full participation in the defense of the Black Sea region.
The transfer of cultural values between the United States and Romania represents an objective necessity in which the U.S. Embassy in Bucharest has been playing an important role. What projects are there in this respect? What do they include, and how will they be implemented on a short and medium term?
You're right, and this is actually one of my priorities, and that is to increase the understanding between our two countries, Romania and the United States, between Americans and Romanians. And one way to do this is to increase the exchanges that occurs between Romanian students and scholars and American students and scholars. And I'm grateful that we have support in this work also from the Romanian government. A year and a half ago, under our strategic partnership, we established a new working group to support exchange programs in the area of science, technology, education, and culture. And it's my hope in working with the Romanian government that we can develop additional programs to ensure that Romanian scholars and students in the area of science, education, technology, and culture have an opportunity to work and pursue their studies in the United States, and that also that representatives of American culture, education, science, and technology are able to promote their studies and work in Romania. One program that we will be launching formally in May, so just in 2 months' time, is it's unfortunately not here in Maramureș, but it's in Sibiu County, and that is it's called the Ambassador's Fund for Cultural Preservation, and we've selected 3 sites in Sibiu where we'll be making very modest donations, but designed to preserve Romanian culture. And it's something I'm very much looking forward to launching in just a couple months' time.
Consistent Romanian communities, the great and part of the American society reside in the U.S. What is your Excellency's opinion of the role and place of Romanians, of their contribution to the developing their adoptive country, and is there an accurate public image of the country in the U.S.?
You know, there's in one sense, Americans know Romania very well, in that every American, I'd say 320 million Americans probably know of Count Dracula and Transylvania. But to be honest, beyond that, I think the knowledge and understanding of Romania, its people, its culture, its history, its beauty, probably is not well appreciated by Americans. And I see that as one of my responsibilities, is try to improve the understanding of Romania among Americans. And so that's why I'm encouraging exchange programs. That's why I'm encouraging tourism between our two countries. I'm trying to also encourage investment between our two countries. But the Romanian diaspora, the Romanian American community, can play an important role in this as well. There are Romanians that are very, very well known in the United States, Nadia Comaneci, for example, and others. But I think the Romanian American community could play a more important role in American society, in American politics. If you compare the American Romanian community to other national groups in the United States, such as the Polish American community or the Italian American community, they do not have the coherence and the presence in, for example, in policy making in Washington, and as a result, the voice that Romanians could have in the United States is not as great as it could be. There are efforts underway to bring the Romanian American community together. My predecessor, for example, Ambassador Mark Gittenstein, and also Ambassador Jim Rosapep are very much involved in supporting a group called Alianța, which again is trying to bring together the Romanian American community. And so I think that is one example of a positive effort to try to strengthen the voice of Romanians in the United States.
Bilateral economic relations represent a priority for the government of Romania, at least in statements. What is the U.S. strategy in this respect? What can make Romania attractive for our American partner? And are there intention to grow U.S. capital invested in Romania? If so, in what sectors?
Well, there's very little that an American ambassador can do on his own or her own to encourage American companies to invest in Romania. These companies make these decisions based on the support of the company's shareholders. When they make a decision to invest in Romania, they're also looking at opportunities to invest in other countries and as well as in other areas of the United States, and so it's really Romania's responsibility to ensure that it is as attractive as possible to American investors, as well as to investors from other parts of Europe, as well as to make Romania attractive to Romanian investors. And so what's needed there is a stable economy, a governance that is transparent and fully consultative with stakeholders, including investors, a tax and fiscal regime that is stable, and also the fight against corruption is another very attractive perspective for potential investors here. Romania is growing very quickly right now. It's the fastest growing economy, some say, in the European Union. I think there is still plenty of room, however, for investment in Romania, both by foreign companies as well as by Romanian companies. And it's really the responsibility of the Romanian government to ensure that the business climate, the investment climate, is as attractive as possible for potential investors.
In the end of our interview, please, Excellency, tell us some words about Maramureș County, about Baia Mare, your visit here.
Yeah, this is my second visit to Maramureș. Last October, my wife and I, some of my colleagues, visited, and we stayed here in Baia Mare and then drove to Sighetu. And it was October, so all of the leaves were changing color. And I must say that the drive between here and Sighetu was one of the most beautiful that I've ever seen in terms of the landscape and the beauty of the countryside. We had a chance to visit Sighetu and visit the museums there, the Elie Wiesel Memorial, as well as the prison in Sighetu. And what impressed me was not only the beauty of Maramureș, but then also, to be honest, some of the tragedies that have occurred here. Parts of the 20th century were very tragic for Maramureș, particularly Sighetu. And it's a testimony to the people of Maramureș that they were able to overcome that tragedy, rebuild Maramureș. And I think there's great potential here, both for industry, given the location of the county in terms of its proximity to the rest of Europe, but again, for tourism, given the tremendous beauty that it exists in Maramuresh County. Very much enjoyed returning over the past 2 days. Had a very interesting discussion with the president of the county council, the prefect, and also the acting mayor. And yesterday, we spent some time with a non-governmental organization called Hope for Homes and Children, in which we visited some of the less prosperous, to be frank, some of the poorer parts of Baia Mare, and met with the people there. The support, the very positive support that they're receiving to educate their children, to integrate into society, hopefully to get employment and a more stable future, support that they're getting not only from this one non-governmental organization, but also from the city and county governments. Baia Mare, in this regard, is very much a model, I think, for other governments in local areas in Romania. So it was both a somewhat troubling day yesterday, but also a very inspiring one, based on what tremendous work is being done both by private citizens as well as by the public administration here.
Thank you, Excellence, for this interview, and I would like to tell the people who are watching us a word from you, finally.
Again, thank you for this opportunity. And all I could say is I very much look forward to returning to Maramuresh and Baia Mare. Thank you.
Thank you.